All right, if you guys, we'll get started with Coach. If you would, just indicate in the chat if you have a question. And we'll start from there. I just happen to, because Glenn is the first person I see, I'll just start with Glenn. And then from then on, you guys just indicate if you have a question in the chat.
Hey, Coach. Just curious if you guys have an update on Zach Arnold and just kind of what his situation is, and then just kind of, I guess, preview this weekend series, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the news is good on Zach Arnold, Glenn. No fracture. I'm kind of surprised. It was ugly last night. When I took a look at it, it kind of made me queasy. There was looked like a golf ball on the back of his hand. It was, you know, for a lay person like me, not a medical person, it looked like a disformed a hand, you know, like I thought it was a broken bone that had been displaced and so forth, but it turned out to be just fluid buildup. And he's got a very sore hand, and I got to find out and see if you know, it's going to be, you know, playable or not. That'll be the question now, but it's not a fracture. So that's good news. We know it'll be temporary. Whether or not he'll be available or not this weekend is now what we got to find out. So I haven't seen him yet, and I don't think he'll probably be able to practice today. The question is, you know, do we take him or somebody else, you know, on the trip? And that's going to be a tough decision to have to make today. So we'll have to deal with that one today, but at least it's not fractured. Good for him. And what was the second part of your question, Glenn, about the weekend?
Yeah, just I guess preview the series. You know, what kind of challenges does Kentucky bring, and just kind of, you know, what do you guys have to do to get, I guess, back on track in the conference play?
Yeah, well, I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but Kentucky's got a really good ball club. They had a big win last night at Louisville, Louisville, I think, was ranked 4th or 5th in the country. And Kentucky had 15 hits last night, left a lot of runners on base. Their 9-hole hitter drove in 6 runs, had a 3-run homer and missed a grand slam by a couple of inches, and instead had a 3-run double. So he drove in 6 runs out of the 9-hole. They didn't get much production out of some of their big guns, and still had 15 hits and scored 11 runs against a great Louisville team. So obviously they're a very potent offensive team. You know, their weekend arms are really, really good. Their team ERA is about a 3. I think they're the 3rd leading hitting team in the league. I'm surprised the record's not better than it is. It's stout, but, you know, it's not, you know, like 24-3 or something like some of the top teams. Statistically, they're strong. I watched them play a couple of games when they swept Auburn at Auburn, and they just look like a real energetic, enthusiastic team, like they always are. Play with a lot of emotion, very tough. You know, I'm assuming that they're very proud of their new ballpark. It's a really nice ballpark, and I'm sure they're going to play with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. So obviously we're going to have to go in there and play with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, play extremely well, and take advantage of every opportunity that we have against some really good arms. I know that they're going to be a very aggressive team, and we're going to have to match their aggressiveness and just play them one game at a time and find a way to get the job done.
I guess I have a follow-up if no one else is going to go. I know yesterday you said you guys were going to post kind of a TBA on that 3rd starter. Has there been any headway, I guess, in meetings this morning with Alan about, you know, who you guys are thinking with that spot, or are you just going to kind of keep that close to the vest right now?
Well, not really keeping it close to the vest by design, Glenn. What we want to do is just play them one game at a time. I don't want to name a starter and then hold that person back if we have a chance to win a game earlier in the weekend, and that person might be a guy to use to help us win the game. You know, so like I mentioned, you know, the candidates were guys like Blake Money and Garrett Edwards, Will Helmers. I'm sure it would come from one of those 3 guys. but you don't know what the first games are going to be like. And, I hate to use a guy that is inferior to one of those three guys just because we're holding somebody back for Sunday when we have a chance to win a game earlier. And if one of those guys can help us, have a better chance to win a game earlier, we want to make sure that that person is available. So, I want to make sure that we do that. So, after we're done with the first two ball games, we'll see who's available, and that person will be the starting pitcher for Sunday. We've done that, for many years. It's not often that we've actually named three starting pitchers on a weekend. So this has been an unusual year to be able to actually do that. And it is for a lot of teams, really.
Well, with Zach Arnold unsure this weekend, I imagine I'll have to probably lean a little bit more on Collier. What do you kind of want to see from him offensively? Obviously, he's been really reliable defensively, but what do you want to kind of see from him on the offensive side of things against Kentucky?
Collier's numbers are not eye-popping, obviously, but he's actually had some pretty good at-bats. He had the first hit against Leiter the other day. He's taken some good swings, and he's actually had some good at-bats. He's made the pitcher work a little bit. Collier he's a really competitive kid, and you are what you are, Wilson. You can't ask a kid to do more than he's capable of doing. And he's an extremely hard worker. He's very dedicated. He competes as hard as he can. He's not going to hit a ball 500 feet, and he's not going to hit 350. And we know that going in. He's a kid that tries to get the most out of his talent. And if he just goes up there and gives us good competitive at bats, and if he hits the ball and it finds a hole and we end up with a base hit, and if he can do that with runners on base and driving a run for us, we're going to be happy. His defense is of utmost importance, without question, and his range, is important. And he's been playing most of the conference games lately anyway. We wanted to give Zach Arnold a start last night because he hadn't played in a while. And, we had a little breeze blowing out. We thought maybe Zach might get into one, and give us, some offense last night. It didn't really work out that way, but, unfortunately he got hit by the pitch late in the game. But, Collier most probably was going to end up starting this weekend anyway. So, I'm expecting, Collier to go out there and play well.
Hey, Coach, I know you said you wanted to see Garrett Edwards in that starting role again. Given it had been since February, were you pleased with what you saw, and how were the conversations like after with him?
Yeah, I was very pleased with him. He gave up the leadoff base hit, and the runner stole second base, and then he got a couple of big outs against some good hitters. And then the second inning, he mixes his pitches well. He's got three good pitches. He's a very confident and poised kid. And I think he had more in the tank. He could have continued, but, we shut him down. He wants badly to be that third starter. I can tell you that. He texted me the other day after the game and he was really politicking for it. He believes he can give us 5+ innings, and he's got a lot of confidence in himself. And he displays that when he's out there on the mound. So, I didn't really converse with him after the game. I just kind of gave him a pat on the back and told him nice job, and he did do a nice job.
When's the last time, too, you've seen a freshman with that size and that confidence when he comes into games?
Well, Blake Money's got a lot of those same qualities as well. So, that bodes well for the future. I like both those kids. I think they and Will Hummers as well. They all three of those guys have done good things. Ty Floyd, there's 4 freshmen, the pitchers that I think are not only doing a good job for us right now, but are going to bode well for the future. The more experience they get, the better their secondary pitches develop. I think all of them are going to continue to gain velocity as their bodies develop and they get stronger and they get more confidence and more experience on the mound. I think we got 4 good ones in those 4 kids. I tell you, I thought Theo Millis threw well that last night too. That's the best he's thrown, since he's been with us. So there's some more potential down there. I'd really like to see Javen Coleman get it going. You know, there's some potential in our freshman arms.
Hey, Coach, I know you were pleased last night with Gio's, performance and his comeback. It seems more than anything, he kind of gives you guys some stability out there in that outfield and just kind of a, kind of all around sense. How important is having him healthy and having him contribute the way he did last night important to you guys kind of getting back into things here in conference play?
Well, and I think it's really important, I mean, all fall practice and all preseason practice, he was a leader of our team, in center field. He was kind of the quarterback out there and he played well. And, in his third year here, he was more confident than he's ever been. And, he's grown up mentally, physically, he was ready to take it to another level. And then second game of the year, he pulls that hamstring and misses basically the entire first half of the season. I mean, it's hard to quantify exactly how much that hurt us, but it gave some other kids an opportunity, and some guys have stepped in and done some good things. Brody Drost and Mitchell Sanford and even Will Safford, have done some good things, but none of them brought the defensive skill to the position that Giovanni did. None of them had that running speed and that range that he has in the outfield. And, that gives your pitching staff a lot of confidence that they don't have to strike people out. If they give up a well-hit ball in the gap, that somebody's out there that can potentially run it down. You saw what the Vanderbilt center fielder did a few times this past weekend. I can remember one ball that was really hit well by Trey Morgan. It was almost hit to dead left field, and the center fielder ran it down over in front of the scoreboard like it was nothing, that it had the makings of a sure double. Just think if you're the pitcher and you're not worried about giving up a ball that's hit hard in the gap, and the guy just runs the ball down, like makes it a routine out. That gives you an awful lot of confidence as a pitcher. It affects your whole approach, the way you pitch, your confidence and so forth. And we lost that, for half of the season. So how do you put quantify that value to your team? It's really difficult to. And listen, Giovanni's not a robot. You don't just plug him in there and all of a sudden he's playing at the super high level again. This kid's been out for a long time. And, I see little signs of him not being quite as confident as he was before when he was playing every day for several months. So he's got to get back into it and get that confidence going again too. And that comes from the more you play and the more success that you have and so forth. So it was good for him to have a little bit of success last night, but he hasn't been challenged in the outfield yet either. And, until he gets his feet really wet, he won't be, all the way back and have all of his confidence back the way that he once did.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Javen Coleman a minute ago. He hasn't pitched in almost a month now. Is there something injury related going on with him, or is it you just haven't been able to find innings for him?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he's been working with Allen down in the bullpen and doing those kinds of things, and some other guys just have moved ahead of him. And there's no injury situation, but we still have basically half a season to go, and I'm expecting that he'll get some opportunities. Taylor, there's last night Theo Millis got an opportunity and he took advantage of it. He came to see me in the office the other day, and I had a very honest heart-to-heart conversation with him, and I told him, that his stuff was not showing up the way that it showed when we recruited him. And last night I thought he threw the ball with a lot more conviction than he has since he's arrived on campus. Instead of throwing 85, 86 miles an hour, every fastball was 89, 90 miles an hour. And all of a sudden his changeup was coming out of his hand good, and he was throwing breaking balls for strikes. And the guy for McNeese, his very first pitch, he ambushed a fastball and hit it out of the ballpark, but it was an 89 mile an hour fastball. We hadn't seen that out of Theo. And then after the home run, all of a sudden he started really cutting it loose, and he was 89, 90. He was throwing good changeups, good breaking balls, and we ended up pitching him 2 innings because I really liked what I saw. It was the first time I'd seen that out of Theo with that kind of conviction and that kind of cutting the ball loose. And honestly, we hadn't seen it out of Javen Coleman since the night he pitched against Louisiana Tech. We tried to give it, we tried to give him the opportunity. He started a couple of games and he hadn't really displayed that same confidence level and that same aggressiveness in attacking the hitters and so forth. And so other guys moved ahead of him and got the opportunities. Michael Fowler last night, there's another freshman pitcher that I thought threw the ball extremely well last night. And so, Javen will get another chance, but he's got to take advantage of these opportunities. Michael Fowler's taken advantage of a couple opportunities now. He'll be on the travel squad this weekend as we go to Kentucky. Next week, I believe Javen will get an opportunity and hopefully he'll take advantage of it. We would love to see him do that and to get back into the mix where we can utilize him and have confidence that he can get the job done. I'd be happy for him. I'd be happy for our team as well.
Well, something you said on the radio show the other day was that y'all were going to focus on using Devon and Ty after the 6th inning. So is there a possibility that they would end up going multiple innings in a close game moving forward?
Yes. How's that for an answer?
I guess with Ty, you were saying a while ago that he needed to kind of develop his secondary pitches more in order to extend. Has he done that a little bit, or is he still so reliant on the fastball that it makes him a little bit of a shorter innings kind of guy?
Well, his fastball still is bread and butter, but how are you going to know if that break ball and changeup are going to be developed unless you have the guts to call it and let him throw it? Baby's got to learn to swim sooner or later. Got to throw it. We got to throw it in the games. Then we got to let him do it, and he's got to develop. He's too much of a talent to just be a one-pitch pony, and he's got to throw the pitches, and we got to believe in him, and then we got to sink or swim with his ability because he's just too talented of a kid.
And ask another one. Something Doty batting 6th last night. What did you think of having him a little bit lower in the order? Did he end up seeing more fastballs in that kind of spot? Did it help him in that regard, or is that something you kind of plan to keep doing going ahead?
To say I challenged him a little bit. He responded. But also Jordan Thompson came through with a big hit in the 5-hole there too. I've been liking the way Jordan Thompson's developed his entire game. He's been growing by leaps and bounds, as the season is progressing offensively and defensively. We're watching a player develop, and it's been a sight to see. That kid is a from where he was in January to where he is now in April has been leaps and bounds offensively and defensively. And he's really evolving. You put him together with Cruz and Morgan, those are 3 pretty good freshman position players that we're playing in every day now. And they're going to be special players for us here at LSU.
Okay, anyone else?
Okay.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go ahead and get started with him first.
All right.
Um,
Y'all can start with questions for AJ.
AJ, first time talking to you since word of Jaden's injury came out. As a teammate of his, a fellow member of the starting rotation, what was your initial reaction to hearing that y'all wouldn't have him for the rest of the year, and how do you approach moving into the Saturday spot?
Like, I felt bad for Jaden. He's great kid, and his work ethic is excellent. And so it's just one of those things where it's like heartbreaking for him. Like, you kind of feel for him. And it's one of those things where I know he'll get through it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it just all shocked us at that point whenever we found out that he did tear his UCL and has to get season-ending surgery on it. But like going forward with me being in the Saturday role, it's like nothing changes. I mean, it's just you just got to think about it. It's like me being on Sunday. It's just one day forward. So at the same time, it's just got to keep the guys in the game and just go out there and pitch like you know how to.
Hey, AJ, Coach mentioned that, they're going to wait and see, I guess, what Sunday looks like, just because, a lot of the guys that are kind of up for that job, could help you guys win, one or two of those first couple of games. It sounds like it's going to be mostly freshmen that are going to be up for that job, whether it's Money or Helmers or Edwards. I mean, just what have you seen from those three guys in particular that makes you feel like they could fill in and really be a integral piece in that starting rotation for you guys?
So with all three of them, they just go out there and fill up the zone. Like that's what they do. Like they go out, they command their fastball both sides of the plate. They never let anything get to them, and the moment's never too big for them. So I feel if they just do that, like whoever throws on Sunday, like they'll fit in perfect and do perfectly fine Sunday.
AJ, another pitcher I wanted to ask you about, Devon Fontenot, seems to have really kind of brought things back in after that rough stretch. I think he hit like 96 on the gun this past weekend. How have y'all seen him develop over the last few weeks and kind of get back to the form that he had at the beginning of the season?
I feel like it wasn't like that he wasn't focused. I feel like he's like more in tune of like with his body, and he's not going out there. He's just going out there and throwing the ball to the plate like he knows how to, and just going out there and just really commanding the zone and keeping the hitters off balance like he did his previous 3 years here. So which is a big part for us later in the game in the back end of the bullpen, because like we'll need him to do good the rest of the year in order for us to have a shot.
Hey, AJ, obviously, as a pitching staff, I think last week against Vanderbilt, free passes were down from the previous week against Tennessee. I know we've talked about that a lot, just, not giving opposing teams, free bags and whatnot. Just, I guess, kind of how did you, in your assessment, see how the staff as a whole adjusted last weekend against Vanderbilt as opposed to maybe the Tennessee series where it was a little bit rougher going in terms of handing out those free passes?
I feel like with the free pass, it all just comes down to how focused you are and how convicted you are throwing your pitches. Like AD always talks to us about, it's not about being perfect every time. Just throw the ball over the plate and just make sure you're convicting all your pitches and not just pitching. So I felt like that was a big thing this weekend when we played Vanderbilt. It seemed like everyone was convicted on whatever pitch AD called for us, and we threw it to where it was called, and we made great pitches. And at the same time, with that being said, like they put good swings on the ball also. So it's just a matter of just being a little bit more convicted on pitches and keeping the ball down and just going out there and throwing the ball over the plate.
Coach Mainieri often talks about how seasons will be defined by 1 and 2 run games, and y'all played a bunch of them during SEC play, and it just hasn't quite broken right. What kind of ends up being the key in those sort of games, and what do y'all need to do to start reversing that in order to get back on track this season?
I know like AD talked to us yesterday before the game about how we need to come up with those big pitches whenever in certain like times in the game. Like just say like someone comes in, his base is loaded with 1 out, we just have to make that put away pitch when we need to, instead of just leaving the ball up or missing down the middle of the plate. And with the hitters, it's just we just need to have that one big like clutch hit or like stuff like that. So I feel like we're super close to winning those 1 and 2 run games. We just have to go out there and just make sure we get like the little things done.
Yeah, I mean, you've said that for a few weeks now that you feel like y'all are close. How much do you think just one win in the SEC, one sort of close win like that, could help sort of throw the monkey off your back in a way and start moving forward, just to get one of them out of the way at some point?
I feel like there'll be a huge confidence boost for us, since we're 1-8 right now and got swept the past 2 weekends. So I feel it would be huge to get that one win underneath our belt and then just keep going forward from that. and just keep taking one game at a time.
Any more questions for AJ? Thank y'all.
We are ready to take your questions.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Devin, how you doing today?
Good.
Last time we talked to you, if I remember correctly, you were in a bit of a rut, but you felt like you were close. So now over your last 8 appearances, you've only allowed, I think, 1 run. What do you think is what did you do to kind of get back on track over the last few weeks?
Well, really, I've just been staying the course, just going back to what I've always done, focusing on my mechanics, thinking about what I'm going to do when I do get in the game, and just executing the plan that AD lays out for us each day. So, it's worked out. Obviously, I've been here for 4 years, so I know what it takes to go in there and throw strikes and get the job done. And seeing some other guys do that, watching the younger guys go out there and do it just makes me want to do it that much more.
Hey, Devin, Coach kind of hinted that he was ready to kind of let some of you top relievers out of the bullpen, I guess, stretch out a little bit longer. I know you've done that in the past, but really this year, I think you've kind of been limited to maybe 1 inning, maybe one in the third inning or something like that. I mean, just how does your mindset change knowing that, you might be pitching 6th, 7th, and 8th inning as opposed to maybe just focusing on 1 inning? Does your mindset change at all as a pitcher?
No, you just gotta take it one pitch at a time, one batter at a time, and just go out there and let it rip, and give it your 100% effort on each pitch.
Just kind of a quick follow-up, I guess, to that. Obviously Sunday's job is still kind of wide open. I think Coach let slip that maybe there's a few freshmen that are really going to be getting that opportunity, and Will and Garrett and Blake Money. I mean, just from those 3 guys in particular, what have you seen as far as growth throughout the season, and just kind of what strengths do they bring as a potential starter on that Sunday role?
Yeah, obviously, Blake's came in the game several different times, like whenever a starter had maybe struggled there early, and Blake's kind of helped the bullpen save some arms, and he's went out there and pitched 3-4 innings if he was asked to, and he probably didn't even know that day that was going to happen to him. But AD preaches it to us that you just got to be ready when your name's called, and Blake's been doing a good job about that. So I believe he's ready for it. Obviously Garrett, he's got good stuff. He started earlier in the year, and we got confidence in Garrett. And then obviously Will's been taking care of business on the midweek games, and he's been coming in every once in a while on the weekends. He's done just about everything to be a freshman. He's kind of been in every situation you can think of. But these guys are ready. You can tell that each game they're getting more and more comfortable and more confident in themselves. So really, whoever gets the ball, I think, is going to get the job done for us.
With Blake Money, do y'all give him a hard time about his whole Kenny Powers vibe?
Well, not having the facial hair thing this year kind of just lets him do that to us. So I guess we can let him slide with that.
And another thing, it looked like in your last outing you were hitting like 96 consistently. I think you even touched 97, and usually you're a little bit more closer to like 94, 95, if I'm not mistaken. What did you do, if anything, to kind of reach back and get that velocity in that? And do you plan to try to keep doing that moving forward, or was it sort of a one-off thing?
Well, obviously we were facing Vanderbilt, and everyone knows how we feel about that team. But not only was I trying to reach back, I was trying to make a statement for our guys. We started a chance in that game. I wanted to have a clean inning for us, get us back in the dugout, and try to score some runs there late, and take one from Vandy. But we didn't get the job done. at the end of the day, it's okay. You know, we got games ahead of us, but you know, moving forward, I think that I just got to you know, pitch to everybody in that same kind of way. Just be willing to make a statement and show the guys that, you know, nobody's too good for us.
At this point for yourself personally, is the last thing to kind of clean up just walks, the occasional walk here and there?
Yeah, obviously, you know, I feel like I'm just right around the zone, and you know, sometimes a you know, umpire may not give me a call or whatever, but you know, I can't let the umpire dictate what I do. I just gotta, you know, put the ball in there and let the hitters hit it. And I think my stuff's good enough to get them out. I just got to put it in there for a strike.
Can I ask another question? Curious about Gavin Dugas. I mean, you've been his teammate now for a few years, and it seems like every time something happens with him, y'all are just like, no one deserves this more than Gavin. It's usually the refrain. What is it about him that sort of makes y'all say that?
Well, obviously, Gavin, he's a good kid, good person if you're around him. But he, you know, he does everything the right way. He works really hard. And, you know, there's been times throughout his career here where, you know, maybe he didn't win the job over somebody else, but he's always stayed the course and he's always worked hard. And you can always tell that he's always had a positive mindset about, you know, being someone's backup or this, that, and the other. So, you know, seeing him work the way he did in the fall and in the early spring again this year, just was, you know, it's Gavin's time to lead this team, especially, you know, having that job in left field open for him, and he took it upon himself to win coaches, you know, win coaches respect, and he did. And you know, he's been coming up clutch for us in certain situations, and we know that he's going to continue.
You mentioned his work ethic. People often do when talking about him. What is, I don't know, an example or something that makes that really stand out in your mind as a part of who he is as a player?
You know, I think he just gets the extra work in. And when he does, you know, when he's at practice, he focuses on every swing, every chance that he's out there, he's doing the right thing and just trying to get 1% better every day.
One more if I could. How hard does he hit the ball? Because people, you know, said that it's up there with Dylan and some of the other guys on the team. I mean, when you're facing him in fall practice and stuff like that, how hard can he hit the ball?
Yeah, Gavin was one of the guys that I didn't like to face too much. Anytime I threw him a fastball, you know, down the middle, first pitch, he would normally hit it pretty hard. But you know, he's one of those guys. He's got a lot of strength, and we think that he's going to help us this year down the stretch. Is it?
Is that all? Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Cranford is here now and he's ready to go. So we'll go ahead and you guys can go ahead and start with questions for Collier.
I can start us off. Hey, Collier, Wilson Alexander from The Advocate. If we have met, it's been a long time, so I hope you're doing well. Good to see you again.
How we doing?
Going back for just a little ways, I mean, you've obviously gotten yourself in the lineup at second base because of your defense. But what was it like having to kind of, after sort of establishing yourself last year, have to wait so long to get your chance this season?
I mean, it's tough, you know, being a player, a competitor that I am, you know, so you always want to get in there and play. But at the end of the day, you know, you always got to do what's best for the team. So, I mean, be sitting on the bench for a little while and we good to go?
Could Bill mute, perhaps?
Oh, is that my fault? God darn it. Hold on. Okay.
Are we good? All right. Yeah, if that meant just having to wait my turn for a little while, you know, I was fine with that. Just at the end of the day, you know, it's always what's best for the team, whatever coach thinks best for the team. So I'm always here for that.
When did you find out that you were going to get a chance to start? And before that, I guess it was, I'm trying to remember exactly when it was that you first started, but when did you kind of find out, and how did you react to that news?
I kind of had a feeling, I don't know, just like a gut sort of feeling, but I think it was a Thursday practice before the Mississippi State series. Just coach came and pulled me to the side after early work and just kind of let me know. So, but I was really excited, you know, ready to go get that opportunity. So, yeah.
Keep going here. It seems like Zach could at least maybe miss this weekend with his hand injury. I mean, Mainieri said it's not broken or anything, but that, you know, they're a little unsure, and that that'll probably, you know, you've already been playing a lot, but you could be playing even more. What does that do? I mean, is there anything that you try to improve on going into this Kentucky series, knowing that you're going to be counted on as much as you will be, especially on the offensive end?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, offensively, you know, I just want to kind of do everything I can for my team, whether that be, you know, a clutch base hit, whether it be getting a bunt down, whether getting a clutch hit and run down or anything. But yeah, you know, just trying to do whatever's called upon me in the situation of the game. You know, stats, whatever, they'll come. But obviously, I'm worried about what I can do in that moment, that opportunity for my team. So whether it be situational hitting, all stuff like that.
What sort of things for you? I mean, you're not a huge power guy, so I mean, like, what sort of things do you try to work on, you know, in practice and stuff on when you're hitting?
Just, you know, staying short to the ball, not trying to get too big, and try to. You said I'm not much of a power guy. I try not to. Sometimes I try to think I am. You know, maybe pull off a little bit, roll over. So you know, just try to stay short, shoot the ball the other way. And like I said before, just situational hitting, whether it be runner on third, less than 2 outs, you know, just roll a ground ball, just whatever we can do to get that run in. So, yeah.
And then you mentioned situational hitting there. We've seen statistically that y'all offensively, like, you've had guys on base and you've had chances to score, and then you just haven't been able to push those runs across. And that's what's sort of led to these close losses here in SEC play for the most part. What is actually, what goes into hitting, you know, in those situations, you know, hitting with runners on base? Is there anything that y'all, you know, approach it in a certain way that is just isn't working right now?
I don't. I think our approach is there. It's just the execution point that, you know, we're having a little bit of trouble with. But I mean, we're staying optimistic. We're staying every day working hard. So just to keep the morale up and everything, just working to get those, instead of losing those close games or winning those close games. So yeah, we're just working every day to get better. So
what is the approach that you mentioned? Like, I mean, that's sort of can be a really kind of a vague term. What specifically is y'all's approach in those moments?
I mean, it depends on the situation. So just like the game. So like, I mean, runner on second base with 2 outs, you know, you got to get a clutch base hit. Runner on third base with less than 2, you know, you don't necessarily have to hit a base hit. You can just hit a ground ball to the second base and the shortstop, whatever it may be. So just things like that, you know, getting bunts down, just knowing the situations of the game and knowing that necessarily a home run doesn't have to get it done, or a base hit doesn't have to get it done, stuff like that. So.
Not sure if anyone else has any for you right now, but with working on something about Gavin as well. And as a younger guy, what were your sort of first impressions of him and when you came into the program? And what sort of example has he set this year as someone who's really stepped into his own and become a force in the middle of this lineup?
Well, the one thing about Gavin, you know, he's just a great all-around dude. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better person off the field, you know. Just a great role model, a great guy, always works his tail off every day, handles his business, and whether it be baseball related or non-baseball related, he's just a great guy all the way around. I just see somebody like that just step into the role that he has this year and just do as well as he has. You know, it's awesome. It's honestly, he's a guy, upperclassman that I look up to. So just to see him do that, it's awesome. It couldn't have happened to a better guy. So yeah.
That's usually what people say, is that it couldn't happen to a better guy. What are some of the things that he does that, just leaves that kind of, makes that mark on you guys, that makes you say, like, no one deserves this more than Gavin? Those things that you're mentioning, like, kind of off the field and just being good, generally good person. What are some of the things that he does?
Yeah, I mean, he handles his business, obviously, like I said, on the baseball side, as in he works his tail off. You're not going to find a guy working harder, whether that be in the weight room, during early work, taking fly balls, hitting in the cages during BP. Obviously on the baseball side, and then off the field, he handles his business in the classroom. He's not really a very outspoken guy, but he's never going to try to big league you, any type of this. If Gavin's a guy, if you go to, I mean, he's going to be there for you. He'll give you any type of advice you need or whatever. So, yep.
Back real quick to the baseball field. You'll get Giovanni DiGiacomo back, and if he's able to, finally actually get back after re-aggravating that hamstring, what sort of presence does he bring to center field with having as much range and experience as he does?
Oh man, I mean, it means the world. I mean, he can really move out there. So just, some balls that maybe would have got down or whatever, he's running those balls down. He's one of the best I've ever seen out there in center field defensively. So it's real big to have him back.
And then I was also curious, you seem to have some impressive athleticism. There was like a throw down to second base at one point where it looked like you jumped like 5 feet in the air. Where does that come from?
I don't know. My mom said it would like to come. My mom says it comes from her. My dad says it comes from him, but honestly, I have no idea.
Is that something that you've always had, or is it just sort of developed more over the last few years?
I mean, I'd like to think I was always a pretty athletic dude. I'm not sure. I mean, I've grown in my body probably later high school, so I guess it started to kick in around there.
What's your vertical?
Oh, I have no clue.
Okay.
I'll have to test it out and I'll let you know.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle.
No problem.
Is that all? Thank you all.